Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Anime Social Club. Once again, brought to you by your boy Kid Benji. Join with me today, as always, are the same lovable idiots, Jacob and Bryan.
I'm
Hi.
idiot. I'm idiot number 4.
There you go. Cleanest intro we've had yet. Anyways,
What? This is the intro?
so as you guys have already seen by the title, The Girl That Leapt Through Time, we're going to be going over that movie today. But before that, just a couple things. Go ahead and go to kitsu.io. You can follow my profile there. From there, you can also join the Kitsu Anime Movie Club thing, where we discuss these movies every single week. And if you were here on Thursday, I believe, that's when I do the new selection. So you can tune into the stream then as well and see as it's selected live with little marbles game. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and we're going to get right into it. So the movie that we watched was The Girl That Leapt Through Time, and it was interesting to say the least. And so we're gonna go ahead and go through like we always do every single week, one at a time. Jacob, Bryan, me, and then yeah, we'll talk about it, and then afterwards we'll give our rating, and then reveal next week's movie. So let's have, because I think we did Jacob first last week, so we'll do Bryan Bryan this week.
Let's do it.
All right, you go first.
Oh, okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. I got this. I'm ready, guys. Put me in, coach. Okay. So for me, this movie, I did not like it at all. I would say, like, the story-wise. For me, I loved this movie, like, all the way, like, even, like, after the trains hit the girl, and then she goes back in time, and then she talks to the aunt, and then I was like, "Oh, that dude's gonna die by getting hit by a train," and then it didn't happen, and then that's when I knew. That's when I knew this movie was trash. This movie was not good. It was just gonna be a continual thing of just nothingness. There was no lesson learned. There was nothing that actually changed. We literally watched the same day for 98 minutes. And for me, I'll also say this. I thought they did that beautifully in the animation, 100%. I thought the music and the voiceover acting was actually done very well. From the standpoint where it was like this movie had like great visuals, because even though when you think about it, we did really watch the same day over and over again, but it was just the scenes were done well. They repeated a lot of the same scenes, and I think the reason why they spent that time to make them done very well was because of that. Especially when in the opening scenes of the movies, I was just admiring just as she was riding down the street on the bike, and there was definitely bokeh effects within the, and all of those things were great. And especially, like, I would say all the way up until that point into the movie, it kind of had this like, wow, this is going to take me on some crazy great journey, to where I got to the end of it, I mean, again, I just couldn't feel it. The story for me, it was just not there. And there's a lot of reasons, and we'll go over them. But for me, I think that's where I'm at.
All right, my turn, I guess.
Yep.
Yes.
Go for it.
I actually liked it. I do think that the ending was kind of shitty, but it left it open to interpretation for like a lot of possibilities. I mean, the idea that I really wanted to be true, but I guess I don't know. There was enough evidence to support it. I don't know. I don't really know how it would have worked. Because I kind of wanted her aunt to be her. Like some weird thing happened where she somehow like came back, I guess, to spend the rest of her life. Because maybe she was like a widow now because he died, or maybe like her aunt was just somehow her because I don't know. I don't know. Because her aunt looked just like her. Her aunt had a story that was just like hers.
Yeah.
Right? Her aunt also said that she never found love. And so it kind of debated you into thinking that, oh, so she's going to be the real case. Like the person who went back in time didn't stay with her aunt, but like he's gonna stay with her. And then it didn't work out. And so I kind of think, me and Benji were talking about this earlier because, in every outcome there was always a price to pay. But in the final one, which is Benji's main gripe with it, was there was no she didn't pay any price. It was just sort of all worked out. But I think the price was that she doesn't get to essentially have she keeps her bad luck and she doesn't get the guy. You know what I mean? Like she ignores the fact that she has bad luck, but she obviously does have bad luck. And when she started doing all this reversing thing, she kind of just like pawned that bad luck off onto like a bunch of other people. Like that one guy was almost ready to shoot up the fucking school, right? Like, that guy was having a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting bad.
He was even attacking people that were helping him.
Yeah, and he like somehow knew it was her fault, which I thought was interesting. He was like, "Why did you tell me to go?" And it would seem really rather bizarre if someone just randomly told you something out of the blue. She always was doing all these weird things, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting the way that she went through and back and forth. The time didn't necessarily make the most sense, and like it was kind of weird how she like rolled into it. But I don't know. Maybe it was my mood. I just somehow was. Normally I'm really critical of these kind of movies, but maybe it was just like, oh, it's time traveling, so it's whatever, it's fine. I thought it was cool. I thought the outcomes and the like the negative things that happened were super interesting. Like there was always something wrong. It was never exactly perfect like she thought it was gonna be, and her solutions were never worked out like she thought it would be. Which I always thought that was always my biggest gripe with a lot of like time travel movies and series is that they make it seem so easy, but it's like you have no idea how people are gonna react. And like I liked how certain characters were just like they had an agenda no matter what. Like they were gonna say what they wanted to say regardless of what she said. And that's like a lot of people. It like shows you who really like listens and who doesn't. And then some things will become completely different just off the smallest shit. So I don't know. I guess the ending was sort of didn't really make much sense because she went back in time to give him another try. Wouldn't in theory if they keep going back in time, couldn't they just like keep getting infinite tries? Like what, right? I feel like
that was my gripe with it last night, and that's what I was trying to make a point of it is like this idea that like you run out of tries doesn't make any sense because all you would have to do is
go back in time
go back in time when you have one. Like, what's the point of the recharge thing at all? If you can go because they obviously proved you can go back in time to when you had one. If something, like I don't know.
And so this guy lost this thing, right? And so is she saying that like, oh well, is it like possible to go back in time to when this thing's charges weren't used and then swap them out?
Yeah, and that was
that would sort of disrupt it. So I would be surprised if this like magical item was sort of like retroactively updated to always match the version of itself that has the least amount of charges left, because I think that would make the most sense. But then if he had
or like
if
it's not the user or something like that.
Yeah, but then in the past, his self holding this thing would have noticed, oh, the charges are ticking down, right? So yeah, I guess it was.
So why didn't he just go back in time to when
he lost it?
Where he lost it, right?
He needed the thing. I don't know. He needed the thing.
Like it would like for me, wouldn't it have made more sense? One charge left to use that last charge to go back.
Here's the real question:
when you had the thing in your hand?
Do you need the item, or do you just need the power infused into you with the tattoo countdown ticker? It was like it was kind of I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was.
There's a lot I had. But I was really critical, which I was.
Maybe I was just. I think it was the mood I watched the movie in, but I had a great time with it personally, and it got me thinking. And I know I care about a movie, or I really hate a movie, depending. If I go and look up like what the ending meant to other people, and so I was curious if people had other like hints as to what it meant. I'm still holding on, even though it doesn't really make much sense. But I kind of like the idea that somehow her aunt is actually just secretly her. I think that'd be kind of funny and cool. But I guess the family knew her aunt, but they never really met her aunt, so I don't really know if that'd be possible. Her aunt was surprisingly knowledgeable.
The mother was the one who brought the aunt into the fold. The mother was the one who even showed that she existed.
Yeah. But I guess
and they did make it seem like she was alienated from the family. Like though when she was like, ask her when she's gonna get married on the way out. So
yeah.
It was interesting. I think it's an interesting idea. That I had some ideas with the aunt too.
That would have been sort of interesting if that somehow turned out to be hers somehow, but or maybe there was somebody who was helping her out and it turned out to be her this whole time, and that person said they were a widow and they were like sad, and then
Mm-hmm.
you find out at the end of the movie, oh wait, that was her this whole time. Like that would have been
That
really
would have been a
crazy.
very interesting plot
So
twist.
I guess this movie's probably gonna lose some points because it could have done a cooler ending. I mean,
It leaves you thinking, what could it have done better, as opposed to what it did
yeah.
great.
And so at the end, she's like, "I'll be running," when he says, "I'll come back" or something, or she's like, "I'll be running and waiting for you" or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then if it's anything like her aunt, like, doesn't it just make you see? It sort of just makes you sad.
Doesn't she just be alone?
Because you have to imagine,
Yeah.
like, he's not coming back, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no way he's coming back. So, and I don't know, like it didn't really describe too much about how their people, their technology works. But I sort of get this feeling like they only get to go to one time zone one time. I don't know, or
Yeah.
like this is like a one time thing, almost like your last meal or something, right? Like maybe he's on death row or something. Like maybe he gets to go back in time one time to like an area, and he's only supposed to stay a certain amount of time. So that's why he says he's already over time or something, and he was supposed to go back earlier. Like, and they give you hints as to what the future's kind of like. It's all destroyed, and he's here for this painting, which I thought had some significance. So I thought, oh, he's gonna make sure that maybe
This
he came back to make sure that she makes sure that the painting gets done properly or something.
Yeah, like she's what saves the painting or something, but it
Yeah.
wasn't even that.
And I thought it would have been really cool if like he whisked her away to his time, but then he realized that this altered it, and so she had to go back or something, and they could never be together. Or maybe that was the case with the aunt or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe like he had said his father went back in time and fell in love with somebody, but he had to leave her, else the painting wouldn't have been finished or something. That would have been kind of interesting. And I feel like maybe maybe it leaves you up to interpretation of like ideas, or maybe they were just some like 300 IQ shit going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like went into crazy detail on like Reddit or something, and this movie's just secretly a genius, and there was a bunch of hidden Easter eggs. Like I really wouldn't, but
Yeah, I wouldn't be stunned by that. Yeah, I wouldn't be stunned by that.
yeah. So I don't know, Bidgie,
Cool.
who?
A lot of interesting theories, perspectives. Um, okay, so from what it looks like, they seem to have executed everything pretty well. Like the animation, sound design, the directing, blocking, editing, like everything seems to be done like extremely well, which leads me to wonder why the hell did they just kind of like the narrative take a backseat to everything else, because clearly they knew what they were doing. Like even the character interactions are done extremely well, which is further enforced by like the voice actors that they had for it. I mean, it was extremely believable. Not once did I think that any of these interactions would be completely out of the norm that you'd normally see, but I was like, okay, like I'll forgive it for that. But as the movie went on, I continued to dislike it more and more, and not that dislike it as in like it's a bad movie, but more so dislike it as this could be a lot better if it were just a little bit different, with some key pieces being rewritten or explained. And for being an hour and 40-minute movie, tack on 20 minutes, make it 2 hours, and then add some like actual depth to the whys behind a lot of the time traveling stuff, because it seems like they just took an idea and ran with it without really fleshing out everything. Like they kind of knew what they wanted to go for, clearly, because the themes in the movie itself are like so blatantly written out, and like I wouldn't say forced, but they're just kind of
In
like,
some ways, literally.
yeah, they're just extremely obvious. You know what I mean? Like the whole
Yeah.
time waits for no one. Like you can't really change what's already happened. Like all this other stuff about like just in regards to time and how precious it is. But from someone who's like constantly analyzing and trying to see what's good or bad in a movie like this, it just completely throws me out of it, because I'm thinking about all the obvious things that could have been done to prevent a lot of the situations that occurred. But ultimately, my main complaint really comes down to the fact that there are no lessons learned for her in the end of the movie, because even in the end, she still acts like the same person that she was at the beginning, with the red hair kid, by lashing out in anger, being emotional and reactionary, when that is what got her in this situation in the first place. It doesn't seem like there had been any growth at any point, because even beyond her losing the guy, she still gained the most out of everybody, which was a new life. Like she's dead technically in the original timeline. She's just dead. And not only is she dead, but she's pretty much a useless person as well, because she didn't really like, other than her presence, like she didn't really have any redeeming qualities, it seemed like. And not only that, they didn't even seem to show her trying to overcome these unredeeming qualities and making herself useful. In fact, the only really redeeming personality trait, if you can call it that, was the only thing that the aunt said, which was that, for her, when her love disappeared, she stopped looking, and she told her that, oh, you're the type of girl that'll go out and find him. I'm like, great, but what does that have to do with, the character becoming better than they once were, or it being overall beneficial for the story, because
Yeah.
of her, the dude has to leave already to his past, which, I mean, I guess was supposed to happen already. But regardless, it a lot of that, just like I said, the biggest thing is that there were no lessons learned for her. Like, she got this second chance at life, still continued to screw up her life, basically, abused time egregiously, which, if in anything that's ever been written ever, like, there are major consequences for screwing with time, but like, she probably got the least consequential thing possible, where everyone gets to live, and even the person that
And
leaves doesn't
only
even die.
the people in the vicinity were affected, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So there's no other like lasting effects to uh anything in this world, that it seems like. But regardless, though, I mean, I like I said, I enjoyed every other aspect of the movie. The one thing that I always complain about the most in everything is pacing. It was paced very well. I thought it was paced pretty well. Like I said, the character interactions were done well. The movie was beautiful. You could clearly tell this is the same dude that did Summer Wars and the Digimon movies, because they're animated almost exactly the same with those bold outlines on their character models. But yeah, it was more so unexpectedly disappointing than anything else. So, but yeah, do you have any?
Yeah. Well, I do have a couple things I wanted to throw out there. The first thing, like the girl being dead thing. This is what I was actually hoping for at the beginning of the movie when I saw her, and it was like where it got like really dramatic and the slow motion hit, and she's in the air and she's thinking about all the things that weren't right about the day, thinking about what she would have done differently, and that today's the day she's gonna die. And it was actually something that actually impacted me for it. That was where I was like, oh damn, this movie's gonna be fucking good. And then it was like for me, I literally I was like, hey, like wouldn't it be awesome if actually the whole time like she was dead, or it was playing with the idea that like every time somebody actually dies, that you just go back in time a few minutes, that you're not actually like you're only dead in that timeline, but you keep going on. It's like these different things are actually like I was like maybe that would be a cool idea. Like I was thinking like oh damn, like a Sixth Sense kind of bullshit at the end, and then it's like she's actually been dead the whole time, and like that for me I felt like
Yeah, I was thinking about
maybe
that
would have
too.
been something that would have been cool, because that's what I was thinking at the beginning. And then as it moved along, it was like going into like hey, like all these things, she's changing all these things. Then you notice the aunt says like, oh, like these things have consequences and all this stuff. And so I was like, oh, like once they traded spots, and like the thing happened, where like he like ended up getting embarrassed and all the bad luck happened. I was like, oh, he's gonna die, because literally everything that the day that she died happened exactly the same way, except for and to that guy for whatever reason, except the the part where he gets hit by the train. Like that for me was like, dude, like if that wouldn't have made an actual impact, I don't know what the hell wouldn't have. Like somebody needed to actually die in this movie for me to actually give a damn. And it was because like and it would because it would have caused an actual transformation in the main character. I felt like there was not like that's where I felt like that it was lacking. It was like for me, I felt like I was just watching a whole bunch of the same, like this person doing like what we all do. Like we all make the same mistakes over and over and over again in different ways. And so it was like I get it, and it's that part in that part I can relate. But in the story, like for me, what I can't relate is like it's like I want to see this person like actually have become something. Notice the pattern.
I will say
But
there was one weird thing where because when when slow motion right before the train hit her,
yeah,
Didn't she say, "I died"?
Yeah, I died. She straight up said, "I died." So that's what made
Yeah.
me think that when we get to the end of that movie, this whole thing was either like heaven or this was like
She was like a ghost.
this was yeah, like a ghost thing. This was like I don't know, like it could have been a whole bunch of things. I just felt like but what we got was not as good as what that was my biggest
What
gripe.
actually just choosing one of them would have been, right?
Yeah, and like that
Yeah.
for me
It,
felt
it,
like
it left it up to like 4 optional endings. But I think if it had just chosen one and done it really well, that would have been a better thing, right?
yeah,
And it's always like with these kind of movies, you always question, well, did they actually intend for 4 optional opportunities for the movie, or was it just that bad? Like, was it
right.
bad and it was lazy writing, and so we're questioning everything, and then they think this is like some 5 out of 300 IQ thing,
It was
like.
really like a 5 IQ thing.
It's like it's like it's like a 4
It
out
was
of.
like some guys are like, "Hey, dude, like we should like on the ground and like."
Is he cutting
You
out for
feel
you?
Yeah,
on some
he's
weird
cutting
thing.
out.
Yeah, you're
Can you
cutting
hear
out
me?
there. Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
you were just cutting out for a second.
Yeah, I was. But yeah, for me, it was just. I feel like it was a lot more about the lazy writing, and then for me, like even something I had a really big gripe with was actually the aunt, right? Even though she was like a cool character itself, I felt like she was supposed to be the narrator. She was supposed to kind of give us the details that we didn't really know, like supposed to. My computer just shut off, I think.
Well, we hear you.
Okay. All the details and all that stuff, but instead we got this kind of like where I couldn't tell if she actually knew what a time leap was. We were actually talking about this last night. Like we couldn't actually tell if she actually knew what it was. She was the one who even introduced the term in the first place, and then we thought where Ben's point was last night was that she was
No.
speaking
It was the grandma.
metaphorically,
It was the
right?
aunt. It was the
Yeah, that's
aunt.
what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the aunt
Yeah.
was the one the thing. And so I thought it was weird that it kind of seemed like she knew exactly what she was talking about, but then was also like not listening and not giving actually good advice at times, or like being like, "Oh, I thought you liked this other guy." And it was just like, it just feels like for
She
me,
always seemed like
the
she
aunt
had.
never, I was saying the aunt never really had any, like, wasn't actually trying to help her ever. It just
Yeah.
like she kind of just threw, and that for me was like, well, what is the purpose of the aunt really? I felt like
Well,
she was
the
cool, but I
purpose-
thought she was supposed to be the narrator person, and it just felt like she was this.
That's
this,
why I thought
and then I thought she was going to be the informer to let us know
Yeah.
like what, because the way it seemed was that she knew exactly what it was. She knew exactly what time leaping was, that she had the exact same situations with the 2 other dudes, and one of them is the exact same thing. There's all the evidence show that there was that. And so, but then to go back, even to your point where it was like, if she was dead, it would have been awesome that she went back to heaven to learn what she learned or whatever. So her angel, her guardian angel, was her aunt and was teaching her these lessons after she died. I don't know, like something. Like I just feel like all it was really just me watching, some teenager, make a whole bunch of teenager decisions. And that for me was like, oh man, like this movie with like, I felt like the way that they did the time thing was super creative, extremely unique. I don't think I've seen anything really with something like that. And but it was like, man, how they introduced death at the beginning and how like they introduced the aunt. I felt like it just, and then the painting didn't really actually make sense, and it was like, it's like it took us like a few seconds to really hash out a better plan for the painting, right? It took us like a few seconds to figure out a better, like an actual thing. Like it left the only,
Okay.
I think the biggest gripe I have with the movie is it doesn't leave you feeling like, wow, that was a great movie. It leaves you feeling like, man, it would have been really cool if the movie did this. And that's, I think for me, where I'm like, that's where it's like, it's a great movie, but where I'm not like, it's a 10, you know what I mean? Like, I think it has like a lot of these amazing parts and amazing things about it, and the animation and the audio, and especially that beginning part for me, but it just doesn't finish it. And so for me, that's where I think that's because it just doesn't do what it didn't finish what it had set out to do. It left us going, man, it would have been cool if they would have done this, instead of being like, wow, I think it was awesome that they did this. And so yeah.
I think okay, so I think what would have been really cool is if she did turn out to be her aunt, and that she had to actually so she ended up going with this guy into the future, and then it turned out that the future is not the future. Like everything's somehow destroyed at this painting, awakening isn't done, for whatever reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
The butterfly effect. And then so
Yeah.
she has so they're only in a relationship till she's maybe like, I don't know, 20, 25. And then she has to get sent back in time to where before the version of her is born
Yeah.
and be the aunt, right? And like somehow, I don't know, it's the future. Maybe they like wipe her parents' memories so they think that she's the aunt, right?
Yeah. Or she's like a aunt, like a family friend aunt,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, maybe she's not an official aunt because she didn't
Yeah.
seem like an official aunt. Actually,
Yeah.
she seemed like a family aunt, like what you would call just like a godmother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's totally likely that it could have been her. And then so she guides her own, upbringing, so to speak, and then she positions her so that the same thing will happen, so that this, like she already knows that she's helping herself fall in love with the same guy who then, and maybe that could
Yeah.
have been the few. Honestly, that could still
I
be
feel
one of
like
these
that would have been
possibilities.
amazing. Yeah. I feel like
That could still be one of these possibilities. That's what's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I do remember thinking about the train thing because the first thing she starts with is, "This is how I died."
this is the day I
But let me
died.
tell you
Yeah.
a story, like, or something.
Like that's what I thought. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, oh shit, we're going
Yeah.
like all the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, but I don't remember her saying, "Well, but at least that's what would have happened," or something. Like I feel like she never.
Yeah. I don't think that
So,
was ever
and
there. It was
I don't
super
know.
dramatic
This movie seems really deliberate, so I almost feel
Yeah.
like she died there for whatever
Yeah.
it means, and then that she jumped back in time or something to like an alternate reality or some weird shit happen. Who knows? But like the physical her is still dead, and that's why this guy can't be with her. Maybe, and maybe her aunt is also dead and actually just a ghost this whole time. Who
Yeah.
even knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Or maybe
it's like,
maybe she already existing in the future, and that was her dying, or maybe waking up from a dream, and then she, like, I don't know, like there's just so many things that makes me feel like that would have been like, I don't know, like maybe those are all terrible ideas, but the thing is I just feel like we have to come up with another one,
I do think that seeing some real people, like you said, how you're kind of frustrated there's nobody dying. I do think maybe actually getting to see some people dying and then her constantly just sort of, maybe it would have been cool if besides just like a counter charge, there was sort of like some kind of price to this going in back in time. Whether it was like, energy or
or
like
that it was that all the things
each
that she
time,
was trying to stop was going to happen no matter that it had
or
to
just no
happen.
matter what, something bad happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
No matter what, it's like, or
then you
no
have to
matter
live
what,
with
somebody dies. No matter what, because they introduced this time leap thing with death. So it would have been way interesting to be like, every time you time leap back, because you time leaped back in time to save yourself from death when you were supposed to die. Now there's always going to be somebody that dies every time you time leap.
And I was thinking about that, and that's kind of more interesting, and it makes you think more. But at the same time, if we really did have time travel, that wouldn't actually be logical because someone doesn't necessarily have to die every time, right? If you
Yeah, well, and I thought it was interesting, or like maybe even like it would play with thing being like, oh, like fifth dimensional beings where they can actually move through time, and that was a common thing. Like I was actually something that when the aunt was talking about that at the beginning, I thought could be interesting. Like, oh, maybe they're like, maybe it's like, because she kind of said like, oh, this happens to everyone like around their age, right?
There's also something I was kind of thinking about. So she was always just going back in time, but one interesting thing they had is that her, as far as her time was considered, it was always still going forward. So she was aging every time continually, while she's gonna go back to this world. I mean, by my estimate, she's like a month older.
Yeah.
Right? From all the skipbacks and all the extra time that she spent. And you could tell it was taking a toll on her because she kept going back and experiencing the same day. She said, I've been karaokeing for like 12 hours straight, and she already had a full day, and so she just crashed in the bed, even though it made no sense. Like her like physical clock is all messed up because she just keeps going back. So I think it would have been really cool if like, it sort of just took a toll on her going back, maybe. I don't know.
Like that being the cost or something related to it.
I do think the idea of like her, going back in time and there's always being something wrong would have been interesting, but I don't necessarily think that was logical. But also, I mean, if we're thinking from a logic perspective, it's
because they kind of played with that idea already. It was introduced by that one dude that got bullied and flipped out and was ready to like hurt young girls. So for me, like I felt like
it seemed like they were flirting with it, but it didn't seem so cemented to where like the ending was the deal breaker for me.
Yeah, well, that was what was hard, is they never actually cemented really anything. It was like it was like you couldn't tell if the aunt actually knew or if she was just like going along with it. You couldn't like tell if like you could really just like you got you all you, that's for me. You got the same thing again. It's like you got to the end of it like I don't actually know what happened. Like
Yeah.
what happened? Like did the like that's why I was like what did I really just watch? Did I watch something just a really beautiful, really
Also,
beautiful art piece that was cool to look at and listen to, or did I actually like watch something actually transformative? And I was just like, no, not really. Was it actual story?
I
Kind
thought
of
it
like,
was interesting when she would reverse time because she thought something bad was going to happen that she didn't like, and then at the end she decided she actually didn't want that to happen. So she had to work so much more hard to intentionally make that happen.
yep,
Right? Like, don't you feel like there was out of all the possible versions, like at the end, it was almost like the work that they had made on their relationship, so to speak, was like less than any one of those versions would have been. Like, what
hmm
about when he was like committing his or like he's like telling her he loved her on the bike? Like, wouldn't that have been just a
yeah.
bigger moment? Like, just let that one roll out, and maybe he'll tell you everything.
Roll out and be real. Yeah, like
Yeah.
what if they would have just relived that moment? Like that's actually what I was hoping for. Was that they would relive that moment, and instead of like her going back in time, she lets him like, and it ends there. Like she lets him just
Also,
go, "Hey, like, will you be my girlfriend, or will you go
is
out
he
with me, or whatever."
just
He
such
had.
a high level time wizard that he doesn't like do a somersault into every single transition? Because I feel
Yeah,
like, if you're from the future and you know this technology, and this seems to be the only way
and
that
he
she's able
literally
to do
like
it.
stop time. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So he's clearly a higher level, right, of some
yeah.
sort. And so it makes me wonder why he couldn't have seen the signs earlier. Like he never once said,
Well, why you didn't just go back in time? Like,
well,
why
no, I
didn't you
mean,
just go
no,
back in time?
my
Yeah,
point is, how many times did she just randomly roll into a scene and pop out of nowhere?
yeah.
They noticed what he said. It's like, wait, weren't you just over there? He should have known.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm missing my item. Oh, hey, this chick's acting weird and popping out of nowhere and has information that she probably shouldn't have.
yeah.
So that was kind of a weird one. So it almost made me feel like he like forgot he was even like a time traveler. Maybe he like had just been in a moment for so long that he just sort of
It was
forgot.
just believing the lie.
He
Yeah,
was strangely. Remember how many times it took her to say that she knew before he was finally willing to admit? It was like
yeah.
it took like one more time than it should have, in my opinion. It was like he was really trying to say like I don't know what you're talking about, like.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me
Yeah.
wonder. And then he says, "Now that you know, I have to go." So it made me wonder, like, okay, so is there like an international time space police kind of thing where like
Yeah,
if
like
you tell
what's
somebody, then
like
we're coming to get you?
well, why
Yeah.
like it just seemed like he just was like, well,
Oh, you cut out.
You cut out completely.
Yeah, you
can
cut
you
out
hear me
there,
now?
sir. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
need to.
because it was like, all right, well, now you know about me, so back to the future, peace out. Like that's
Yeah,
really all that it was. It was like
if
there
he
was
had slept with her,
nothing.
it would have been the best excuse.
Yeah, I would have
Yeah,
been like,
well,
well,
hey, gotta go. Now you
well, she
know.
was like, I'm late. I'm from the future, so gotta see ya.
Also,
Never.
he said that he was staying there because he was having so much fun. Like,
Yeah,
did the fun end?
fun. Yeah, I was like, why is it? If the
He
only
had
reason
to
is
go. He
fun,
had to go. Is the fun ending? I'm so confused. It
yeah.
is and there's like theories like, oh, he's gonna come back, but
Like,
it's
what was he
like
thinking was gonna happen?
nothing in the
Yeah,
anime makes us think that he's gonna come back. And
yeah.
then if was how did the fun suddenly end? Are you in trouble? There's got to be somebody watching out for this kind of thing, right? But then it's not like they're gonna go back and Men in Black her ass, make her forget because the grandma still remembers. So the damage has been done. So why do you have to get total recalled right
Yeah.
away? Like why can't you stay? Why do you
Like
have to go
why
back?
didn't anybody stop you for like why didn't somebody come to get him the
Maybe
first
there's like a rule if you don't leave right away after you tell somebody you're in big trouble, like, oh, your vacation is now ended. But clearly he was staying past his vacation time anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the
So
future.
it's
Do
just
people need to work? I don't even know. Probably not.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he said that it was so strange how many people there were. So it makes me think from everything that we know, okay, there's not that many people. They don't
Mhm.
even have like
They got rid
nature.
of art. Yeah.
Like art's not even a thing. So it's like, okay, so I'm trying to imagine what they even have. Do they live in spaceships only? They probably destroyed the
And
earth.
then why does this guy get to go back and what's up with everybody else? Thing is this like how like is
You're kind of cutting out.
yeah, am I still cutting out?
Turn the gain up if you can, or or lower you make the sensitivity different.
Yeah.
In Discord. Do you have it as
Am I
auto detect?
Yeah. Is it?
You can just drop the bar all the way down to the ground so it like always hears you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Am I echoing? So for a
No.
lot of what you guys are describing, I mean, pretty much they. Okay, I can hear myself through someone.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
Or I can't hear an echo of you. So
I just hear you.
Am I playing through someone's
Maybe it's
speakers?
going. Maybe your mic
one
is
of us
picking up
would
your
have.
headphone. Are you like
Mm,
I don't know.
Put down. So yeah, like I totally get, the theories you guys are explaining, but I mean, I feel like they just invalidated all of it by how they described how their time travel works, where you're not going back in time, and that's what he said. You can't push time, you can't reverse time. You could only change your place in it. So she was just taking his existence and moved his existence to another point in time. So time was never
Gotcha.
being reversed, and so that eliminated the theory of
Yeah.
alternate timelines, like would normally happen. And so because he said that, the whole overall, because from what it looked like, is that I think she had already died prior to everything happening. Um, so what we're looking at, if we were to say it by timelines, I think we're already looking at timeline B. And I think timeline A already happened. And I think she already died before that scene. Because if you go back and watch the movie, you'll notice pre jump or pre power
That she.
that he appears in the background in multiple scenes, but
Oh,
just
really?
as like a shadow character. And for him to say that he lost the item, quote unquote, I don't think he ever lost it though. I think he put it there in the science room purposefully for her to get the ability, so she didn't
Yeah,
die
because he
that
was
day.
sneaking around like a trench coat, wasn't he?
Yeah, so I
Mhm.
think he put the item there so that she wouldn't die, because I think she had already died. It was devastating for him, and he wanted to try and
He
save
went
her.
back in time to save her.
Which, not only that, it also kind of
That
makes
would have been cooler if they would have got
her
that in.
her being more fucked up, because he was already going to leave regardless of what happened, because the only two outcomes were him leaving or her dying. So out of the two, he chose him leaving over her dying.
Why did he always have to leave though? That's what I don't get.
Because
Like that's why
once
it's like
once
where.
once someone finds out about the ability of the time travel,
Mhm.
well, by what we know so far, the person who was using the item has to leave. They get
Okay.
forcefully taken back. And
Oh.
so
But there's no evidence that he actually got forced back.
well, no, he disappears in the scene where uh they're on the street and they're in that big area, and he's describing everything, and
But that just means
everything's
that. But
frozen.
so did she when she did her time thing. She randomly vanished out of thin air too, and they even showed that throughout the movie,
No, 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 no,
especially at the
no, no.
beginning when she was first doing it multiple times.
Well, we don't know if he was like just vaporized or whatever the fuck, or forcefully pulled back in time, but he disappeared and he was gone permanently. And so
But
so
but
be,
like for me, it's like if that was the case, it's like why like for me this is what my question is. If there was some kind of regulation pulls you back once somebody knows about something, why is it that if there is some kind of force like that, why is it that it's only on the person that like is it only on him? Like are we like and that's where I feel like we're making like it's like I mean we're really stretching here. I feel like it's
no,
like
I'm just repeating
in that
verbatim the things
sense.
that he said.
Yeah,
So
well
he
that's what I'm
said these
saying.
things
Like,
in the
but
movie.
he didn't. But like it's like again like he walked away from her and then came back and like what something randomly pulled him when he was hugging her or something like when
No,
she
no, no,
turned.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about in the scene when they're walking through the streets,
Right.
right? And
No, yeah, no. I'm saying like I don't remember him saying he's gonna get pulled back. Did
yeah,
I? He
yeah,
said.
he says that
I remember that. Yeah.
people who
Uh,
let those find out about the time travel,
hmm.
they get taken, or like he has to go. He's forced to leave. Um,
Yeah, but what? But my thing is like it what it like why is it that once he knows that she knows that he has to leave? Like that's my thing is like why wasn't it right away when she got those charges if there was some kind of regulation police thing that instantly pulls you back because of the knowledge
the
of
only
the
the
technology.
only way I would say that that's the case is because from the point that she kept using all the charges. Like I said, this part I'm stretching. I think there was like within a certain time frame that he has to leave after that occurring, um, that he gets forcefully pulled back. Because if you think about it, we only really lived the span of about, what was it,
A month.
only about 3 days.
Oh, was it 3 days?
Because it kept reversing.
Oh, yeah, we
We
kept
just
going
kept
back.
reliving the pudding, which was the day before when they were
Mhm.
talking in the baseball field. The baseball field scene the next day is when she gets the power, because that happened after school.
Mhm.
So when she gets the power, she then starts to leap back further and further. And I think it's 3 days back and 3 days forward. So I think it's a week in total. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Well,
Um, but that
no,
that
wasn't
that
keeping
that's just
track.
what he said from the scenes. So
Yeah.
I mean, overall, but again, this just goes back to my original complaint. I mean, there was like the only person that really lost something was him, and it was him having to not be able to spend time with the people
More
that he
time.
really wanted to spend time with the most, you know. And I feel like when it came, like you were saying before, her having to roll in and then not noticing it and all that other stuff, like, or like things not just clicking, like essentially earlier. I feel like they had the idea for time travel and how they wanted to execute it, and then they had this idea for how the story would play out. But they were so committed to that they were just
Yeah,
like,
and
"Oh
common
fuck
sense
it,
being
we're just not gonna worry about the logical details of it. We're just gonna
Yeah,
tell our
the
story."
first time that she whatever they call it, time jumped, he should have seen her ass like poof and roll in and be like, oh, for fuck's sakes, you're the one who has it,
Yep.
right?
It's you.
And yeah, and like, but then maybe but the problem is that okay, whether they lucked out or not, it's hard to tell because in theory he wouldn't be able to tell her because that would just mean he has less time with her anyways, right? And then
I,
if he knows if he doesn't tell her, she'll just time jump back and then he'll forget again, right?
well,
So
the
maybe
the
he
whole thing was is that technically she's living on time that's not even hers, right? Because she's in the original timeline, she's dead.
She's dead.
Yeah,
Like that's
she,
the thing. Like that's the thing that throws it. Man, I would have loved that.
yeah,
But she's dead the whole time, and they even say it at the beginning. If we're basing it off of what's literally said, she says that's the day she dies.
yeah.
So
Yeah. But
okay, no, that's
I
nice.
do would like the movie to take everything you guys had suggested, and that would have made it a better movie. But I could tell they really wanted a unique approach to time
Yeah.
travel, as opposed to just, because normally when we think about time travel, everyone mentions Steins Gate, which is like famous for the alternate timeline theory. But then that deludes into like a super complicated process. So what easier way to compress that into an hour and 40 minutes than to just outright explain it in the most simple way, to where there is no alternate lines. You're in the same line, just in a different point,
Good point.
you know? But yeah, it also makes sense as to why timelines would even be like an actual thing, because you change too many things and things happen. And then, is this even like the real reality that we're actually experiencing,
Yeah, like is this?
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, is this
is this
even,
the same place we saw before?
yeah,
Is she going back in time to?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And my thing is like, what the fuck happened in the future that you can't time travel to fix it? Like,
Yeah.
is this an inevitability? Which, funny enough, Steins Gate actually covers that, that
see.
changing of
I feel like they
things.
left that open ended because, and that would explain the ending is they weren't necessarily trying to go with the like it didn't seem like they were trying to say, oh, it always has a price or you can't change it, right? But then there was also things like time waits for no one kind of thing,
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, it seemed like you could change things, but there was typically on average a price to pay, but you could limit that. Like it wasn't always like so intense. Like there were worse versions and way less worse
Yeah,
versions. Like the version we got was like the best case scenario, which is basically she's just sort of hurt for the rest of
yeah,
her life, and he got his vacation cut short and probably hurt for the rest of his life, along with all their friends, right?
yeah,
But I mean, it was inevitable that he was going to have to leave. She just cut that short a lot faster.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
he probably, who knows how long he would have spent his life with
I
her.
would say,
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely say though, if you want to see time done very, very well, watch Steins Gate.
Isn't that in our movies?
No. It was
Oh, we
Steins
should
Gate
add
the
it.
movie, but I mean, you need to watch the series to really get the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
So, but that anime, amazing. It absolutely kills it when it comes to time travel, and it does it so well, and it covers so many bases. Um, yeah, there's just oh man, there's just so many things that I could say. I mean, it would spoil the show, but they're like things that you're like, oh, why doesn't every time travel movie or scenario implement this? Because it makes inherent sense when you describe it. So, but yeah, I'd recommend that watch. But regardless, let's go ahead and give our ratings and then we'll close it out. So, Brian, what would you rate it?
Well, I feel like after this talk, it kind of went down a little bit, but
Stand
I
strong. Stand
still
strong with your opinion.
I still genuinely liked it, so I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. That for me, that's exactly what I was going to give it. I don't feel good about giving it a 6.9 or less, but I definitely don't feel good about giving it a 7.1 or higher. Well, maybe like a 7.2 is the highest I'd go, but I'd say 7 as well.
Yep. I give it a 7 as well. All the other parts.
This is the first one we've tied on, I think, right?
No, we've tied it on a couple others, but
Did we?
the Ghibli movies were pretty much all
It was
in
sort of
agreement
like
on.
thought and eye candy, but ultimately pointless.
Yeah.
But it still was cool, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
guess good.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored ever.
It
I never paused.
I know I was telling Jake this is just more of a tribute to how fucking
God, too.
legendary Miyazaki is. Like
No.
he's just in a league of his own. But anyways, appreciate everyone for listening and tuning in. If you guys are interested, there's also a YouTube version of this podcast as well where you can see us talk, I guess, if you want to do that. We're also available on every single platform that has podcasts, like literally every single fucking platform. Just Google Anime Social Club podcast and you'll find something that connects you to it, or search it on YouTube under Kid Benji or Anime Social Club. It should be tagged with that appropriately. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week. And wait, hold on. Drum roll quick.
Oh yeah, what's our new one?
We're gonna do the movie.
Stop. Forest of Firefly Lights. Forest of Firefly Lights. That is the movie.
Yeah, say that fast 20 times.
That is the movie for next week. Supposedly everyone that's been commenting on it says you will all cry. So, oh, and it's only 45 minutes. So,
all right.
Yeah.
It's only 45
It's
minutes.
a short one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it
Maybe
should
we'll
be
Get the review done earlier.
It'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Maybe.
let's fucking get this done. You know, let's
Yeah.
record when we're supposed to. How
It was
about
a
that?
group effort this time around.
No, this
no,
time around, it was definitely.
It's been someone's fault why we've done it late. Last week was my fault. The week before that was Brian's fault, and then week before that was Jacob's fault, I think.
I blame alcohol.
I don't know. Who knows? I know this week it definitely was all. Let's just do it tomorrow.
No. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, we need to fix your mic issues for one, because I don't know what you did.
Are we
But-
closing out?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, we're closing out. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Oh yeah.
Have a
Oh,
great rest of
bye.
your day.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.
Follow